Hello and welcome to another one of our peculiar English podcasts where we look at parts of English grammar or vocabulary which are interesting, maybe a little different from your language or what you expect. And today we're looking at something in reported speech. So, for example, you're probably aware from your studies that when we report something a person said in the past, we often put the original verb into the past. Okay, so if the original conversation was, I can go, when we report it, maybe I tell another friend, she said she could go. Okay, now I'm sure you've studied that before, but actually, there are many times when we don't change the original verb. And I'm going to give you 3 examples here. So maybe that conversation was earlier today and she's referring to a concert that we invited her to. It's this evening, the concert. So this original sentence is still current, it's still true now. So in that case, I might well report to my friend, she said she can go. And you can see that it just emphasizes a little bit that that original statement is still valid, still true. And that's very often the case when we're reporting quite recent conversations which are about the future, for example, or the present, and they're still valid. Okay, it's also the case with what we call modal verbs, especially in these examples. So if the original conversation, she gave me this advice, you shouldn't go. And I'm reporting that to a friend of mine. I will say, she said I shouldn't go. Okay, so there's no change in that advice. And maybe in the original conversation, she expressed some regret about going to this concert in the past. So in the original sentence, she regrets here that she didn't go. I could have gone, but I didn't. Okay, is the original meaning. So when I report that to my friend, I'll say, she said she could have gone. No change to the original. Okay, so you can see that this thing about changing tenses in English is not a rule. It depends on the meaning now at the time we report. And there's no change in those cases to the original sense. Maybe it's different in your language. Anyway, here's a little bit of practice. You can pause the recording and look at these 3 examples of original conversations. I'll go through the answers for you. So the first one, the original is, I'll help. She said she'll help if it's still valid. Maybe the action or the job is still in the future. Or you could say, she said she'd help. Okay. For the second one, she's giving me some advice. So her original sentence was, You needn't worry. And if I report that later to another friend, I'll say, she told me I needn't worry. And maybe she's, in the original conversation, kind of talking about the past. She's telling me, you needn't have worried. So when I report that later to my other friend, I'll say, she told me I needn't have worried. There's no change to the sense, so no grammar change. So that may seem a little unusual or even peculiar to you, but it's not really. It's part of ordinary English.